Whether it's a coastal hurricane or a targeted ransomware attack, every organization eventually faces an event that knocks systems offline. When the server room plunges into darkness, survival depends entirely on what happens next. Looking at this published real-world scenario, we see a dangerous mindset. It details an encounter with a healthcare CISO, a Chief Information Security Officer, the executive responsible for an organization's digital security. This executive had a shockingly casual attitude, believing his team could simply figure something out in the middle of a disaster. Reading further into the text, the flaw in that logic becomes obvious. Every single day a business is down, it hemorrhages capital through direct expenses and the indirect cost of lost opportunities. A disorganized scramble to restore systems costs exponentially more time and money than executing a planned continuity of operations, or COOP, a structured playbook designed to keep essential functions running during a crisis. This brings us to a crucial distinction. People often confuse disaster recovery planning, or DRP, with business continuity planning, or BCP. DRP is tactical. It's the IT department restoring server backups and routing network traffic. BCP is strategic. It's the overarching blueprint that keeps the actual business processes, like payroll, client communications, and supply chains, functioning while IT fights the fires. But before anyone touches a server rack, we have to look at this official tip box. The absolute golden rule of both disciplines is simple. People come first. Evacuating staff from physical danger always supersedes data recovery. If a company waits until the fire alarms are ringing to start delegating recovery tasks, they have already lost. True resilience requires engineering the response long before the threat materializes. Building that response cannot happen in an isolated IT silo. It requires an executive champion, a senior leader who can secure the necessary budget, mandate cross-departmental participation, and arbitrate internal disputes. As seen in this section on management responsibilities, executive buy-in is a legal necessity. Officers have a fiduciary duty to act in their shareholders' best financial interest. If a disaster cripples the firm because leadership failed to prepare, courts can hold those executives personally liable. The primary cost of BCP development is the investment in personnel time. Employees must step away from their daily productivity to meticulously map out every critical function of the organization, a process that can consume hundreds of collective labor hours. To do this accurately, you need a diverse roster. A functional planning team requires legal counsel to navigate contracts, HR to manage staffing impacts, PR to handle crisis communication, physical security managers, and IT subject matter experts. Naturally, representatives from operational departments will fiercely advocate for their own areas, treating their specific functions as the most vital. With strong leadership, these inherent biases ensure that no critical part gets overlooked in the final strategy. A successful planning team mirrors the living anatomy of the company. It proves that surviving a crisis requires human coordination before it requires technical solutions. But a company's internal walls are only half the picture. Modern organizations rely heavily on third-party software developers, hardware suppliers, and cloud service providers. If a vendor goes offline, you go offline. Most firms try to protect themselves with a service level agreement, or SLA. This is a contract that dictates the exact performance metrics and uptime guarantees a vendor promises to deliver. However, a signed piece of paper cannot automatically restore your lost data. To verify vendor resilience, review this documentation on System and Organization Controls, or SOC reports. Notice the distinction. A SOC 1 report covers financial reporting controls. To truly verify a vendor's security and availability during a crisis, demand a SOC 2 or SOC 3 report. In highly regulated sectors like healthcare or finance, mapping these external dependencies is legally mandated. State and federal laws dictate strict continuity measures because a failure in these industries directly threatens public safety and the broader economy. No company operates as an isolated island. They are nodes in a massive, interconnected legal and technological ecosystem, and their survival plans must account for every external link. This numbered list outlines the core of that survival plan, the Business Impact Analysis, or BIA. The BIA is a systematic process used to identify a company's most critical tasks, assess the threats posed to them, and measure the exact consequences of an interruption. The BIA filters risk through two distinct analytical lenses. First, the quantitative impact assessment attaches cold numbers, formulas, and exact dollar values to calculate the direct financial hit of downtime. The qualitative assessment evaluates non-numerical damages that can destroy a company, like loss of reputation, shattered customer confidence, and workforce instability. By balancing the hard financial data against these abstract human factors, leadership can clearly see which risk exposures require the most immediate funding and resources. A finalized BCP provides a documented competitive advantage, ensuring the organization maintains its core services through conditions that would normally halt operations.